When kids are little and they've done something wrong and they're caught red-handed, they almost always profess ignorance. I didn't know. Actually, a lot of adults, mostly defendants I've met up with, say the same thing. Like the driver of the getaway car, loaded with guns, outside the bank, waiting for the bank robbers. I didn't know. This week, excuses keep coming from Washington about the Boston Marathon bombing. And if it weren't so deadly serious and the security of this nation weren't on the line, it would be humorous. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. The Obama administration says it couldn't have done anything differently about the two Tsarnaev brothers, one now facing a charge of using a weapon of mass destruction in the Boston Marathon bombing. And of course, the FBI did everything it could have and should have.
What we do know is that the FBI took action in response to that notification, investigated the elder brother, and investigated thoroughly and came to the conclusion that there was no derogatory information, no indication of terrorist activity or associations, either foreign or domestic, at that time.
Wait a minute. The Russians warned you twice. The Saudis warned you. Your own CIA warned you. And you say there was no indication of terrorist activity? And by the way, why is it that the Russians reportedly had enough information to get a wire on Tamerlan talking to his mother about an attack, and our FBI gives him a clean bill of health? And why is it that we are so clueless about the dangers that these brothers posed? Okay, forget that the other governments told you. Forget that your own CIA told you. Then what about those radical jihadi videos posted by Tamerlan on YouTube? You know, something about this reminds me of Benghazi, when the Brits got out and the Red Cross got out and our people begged for more security and we did nothing. And speaking of Benghazi, take a listen to the president from yesterday.
I think that this is a very difficult challenge when you have individuals who are self-radicalizing. They're not part of some massive conspiracy or network.
Mr. President, how can you be so sure that they're not part of some massive conspiracy or network? Kind of reminds me of that old spontaneous protest about the video. Why are you, Mr. President, so wedded to those narratives? Could it be that if the brothers were self-radicalizing and if the video caused the massacre of 4 Americans in Benghazi, then you could keep spinning that you broke the back of Al-Qaeda and that they're on their heels? And oh, I forgot, of course they're on their heels. You kill that old geezer watching those porno films. But you say it like it's a fact. Now, you're convinced that nothing more could have been done.
Well, and the FBI followed up on them, but the FBI can't arrest somebody just based on a rumor, and you know, that's part of our system of laws.
Of course the FBI followed up, and exactly how was that? They interviewed Tamerlan. He says he's okay. They say he's okay. Let's call it a day. And they say they get thousands of tips. So how could they possibly know which ones were real? I have an idea. How about you isolate the tips that come from foreign governments that have no obligation to tell us anything in the first place, especially the countries that we don't even give money in F-16s to? And what about the fact that Tamerlan shouldn't have been allowed back into this country after 6 months away in his homeland?
Yes, the system pinged when he was leaving the United States. By the time he returned, all investigations the matter had been closed.
And so it didn't ping when he came back. I have an idea. Get a computer that pings. Maybe even get one that certain people can sign on to, like the ones that you guys used as you watched the Benghazi massacre unfold. And how about those 3 college friends of Joe Carr, the cleaners, the ones who destroy evidence, all here on student visas, one of which, like Tamerlan, was let back into the country even though his student visa status had been terminated. And why did that visa expire? Because he was academically terminated, because he was thrown out of school. He didn't come here to learn. And of course, the border agent at the airport says he didn't have access to Homeland Security student exchange information, so he couldn't stop him. You're kidding, right? Does anybody integrate your computer systems? I thought this was all resolved after 9/11. So now one guy comes back in who should have been stopped, but by the time he came back, the matter's closed. Another guy comes back in because they didn't have access to the computer information that would have stopped him. I guess you didn't get that ping either. So I have an idea. Why do we even have student visas? They come here, we give them scholarships, they leave, take all the information, assuming they even came here to learn in the first place, and then they leave. It's called a brain drain. So what do we get out of their coming here anyway? And then, after not listening and not putting two and two together, when you're criticized, you say it's not your fault, like your pal Eric Holder. He says it was the magistrate who decided to Mirandize Joe Carr at the hospital bedside.
The magistrate did the appropriate thing. The magistrate followed the law. We did not immunize. We didn't give anybody Miranda.
Really? This is the most important terrorist case we've got. Who filed the charges? Who assigned the assistant U.S. attorney to handle this? Who told the assistant U.S. attorney to go to the hospital? Who arranged for security at the hospital? Is it just me, or have I seen this one before?
Ooh, I love to dance a little side step. Now they see me, now they know that I'm gone and
But I guess in the end, we'll do one of those lessons learned, like the lessons from the Benghazi Accountability Review Board, which came up with pretty much the same conclusions that the 1999 Accountability Review Board came up with after the brutal bombings in Kenya and Tanzania. And we'll just keep working on fixing those problems, or saying we didn't know.